Hi guys. Sorry about what? Yeah, sorry about my back up on Thursday. Sorry about Thursday. I kind of blacked out when I couldn't remember much of what went on. Okay. Sorry about my black out memory blacked out on Thursday, folks. Excuse me. I was at a dance. That I was so at a dance yesterday, and I couldn't remember the much of what went down on the fifth episode of the show. But what I do remember is there was Matt Murdock helping patch Claire back up of her wounds as well. Yeah, but fast forward to episode 6, we see him going in and protecting Vladimir, a Russian gangster, from being killed by officers under Wilson Fisk's table. In exchange, he would get some information out of him. He brings him over to a warehouse to help him recover, but then they run into a rookie cop who's been on the job for 2 months. He tries to get him to call off the task force, but the cop was too scared to listen, and he refused. So he had to piss the guys off. And while they struggle, then soon as Daredevil starts getting much of the information out of well out of Vladimir, the Russian tried to kill him, but then they end up falling through the floor through a couple of floors down to the basement, and there they finally get soon. Then he picks up a radio where he starts having his conversations with the kingpin himself, where they're at odds with each other. After that, Will. After that, the Russian finishes off by giving. Well, the Russian finally gives Daredevil what he wants, and gives him the information he wants, and so he he sacrifices himself so that Murdoch can get out in time to find and deal with Fisk. After now, coming into episode 7, we see more of Murdoch's backstory, and we also get a good glimpse. We get go, we also meet someone that helped to train him with martial arts skills back in the day, back when he was really young. His name is Stick, a blind master. And yeah, also the two have their return course before they reunite. Murdoch was confronting one of the Kingpin's and Roy associates known as Leland, a pension manager. Yeah, but he got caught off guard when Leland zapped him, and that's where Stick comes in to try to remind him of his past. Reminds him of his past. Later on, they head over to the docks where where Murdoch stops, prevents Stick from killing a child. And then he engages the gangsters. Yeah, after that, in the end, they part ways and wish each other goodbye for now. Also, it ends with Stick meeting up with his master while meditating somewhere in the darkness. Episode 8 focuses on the Kingpin's backstory. Back when he was young, he was raised by an abusive father and a struggling mother. The two of them. Back in the day, Kingpin feels Wilson Fisk feels haunted by his past back struggles while putting up with the trauma he was going through as a boy at age 12. Luckily for him, he had Vanessa. But now, next. Yeah. Yeah. Back when he came to putting up with bullies, his father, he and his father assaulted one of the guys that bullied him. And later on, after his father failed to win as councilman, he starts assaulting his wife. Then Fisk, having taking his attention off the wall, stops his father by mauling him with a hammer and kills him with it. Wow, and that was quite grisly. After that, his mother took a hacksaw and chopped her own husband up into pieces so they could get rid of the body. God, that was quite a dark time for Fisk. Fortunately, Wilson had his fiancee, Vanessa, to speak with when, and he starts telling her more of what he could tell to let some honesty out. Yeah, trying to be brave and trying to be tough. Yeah, Wilson Fisk. Yeah, he's someone that's been struggling with trauma over the years and since his youth. And whenever you ever not only get on his nerves, but also start bringing those he loves into the mix, you really wouldn't want to face his wrath at all, folks. Yeah, that's Kingpin for you. Next, we come to episode 9, where Daredevil goes head to head with one of these ninjas named Nobu at a warehouse. Nobu had murdered. uh, Hang on, folks, I'm looking to get this video. I've been busy watching Daredevil episodes last night, and I'm kind of getting lazy at first. Okay, let me get this. All right. Hmm. Pardon the echo. Wow. Yeah. This red hand ninja Nobu killed someone that was close with Karen Page and her friend Foggy Nelson, and they both felt devastated by the loss of their associate, including Matt. She was killed by Nobu and the abandoned tenant under Wilson Fisk's demand. Yeah, Fisk Fisk says he never wanted to kill her. Of course, Murdoch didn't believe it. Also, eventually but then Murdoch engages the ninja Nobu in that warehouse where Fisk and his men had their operations planned. He was getting overpowered, so many cuts and bruises around his body, and was even getting tortured, mugged to hell. God, could you even believe it, folks? Man, getting yourself slashed by a ninja is really painful. But soon as the fight dragged on, one of the lights went off and it burned the ninja to death. Then Murdoch was confronted by the Kingpin, who overpowers him. Next. Ugh. Yeah. All right. Okay. Okay. Of course. Yeah. Kingpin really knew how to overpower his foes as well. Ugh. After that, Murdoch escaped. And when he got back to his apartment, he was really wounded, but was also this but also his identity was discovered by his best friend Foggy Nelson, who was shocked to see that he was the mask all along, and made it difficult for him to put up. It felt it left him feeling very dishonest and stuff. Yeah, quite shocking too. Meanwhile, Karen was still busy looking for as much dirt as she could find on Wilson Fisk. Here in episode 10. Later on in a shocking suspense, Fisk's beloved fiancée Vanessa ended up being poisoned by something that was put in her drink, along with other folks, and it scared him enough to leave the benefit and get her to a hospital ASAP. This episode, well, the episode ends with, well, let's see, with Foggy Nelson and Matt Murdock temporarily parting ways, needing a break from one another. Yeah, that's how it. That's how I remember it. Okay. Fisk immediately gets her to the hospital in time, but the nurses didn't want him coming in to check for himself, so they had to ass- assure him that they needed to do their job without any disruption. Meanwhile, while Karen notices the fallout that's come between Murdoch and Nelson, she was in the middle of an investigation where she also reveals that she went to Fisk's mother, and it eventually, eventually, where she was trying, where she learns that they killed her husband for for abusing her back then, and he goes over to Ben Urich to have him write that story down, but Urich dismissed it and said and brings up the events that occurred at the benefit where Vanessa and other guests were poisoned. Yeah. Next up, ugh, all right. Soon as the word about her investigations got out, Wesley got a call from Fisk's mother and learned about Karen Page. So he goes after her and attempts to get her to forget about the investigation. He kidnapped her, tried to persuade her into giving up the investigation on Wilson Fisk, but she refused and ends up shooting him to death as out of fear. And she was shocked that she ended up killing someone, so she felt the need to get it out of her head. And Fisk wonders it too. The next episode, after that, the next episode picks off where we left off with Karen Page killing James Wesley, where she starts drinking a lot of booze just to get that out of her head, just to get that memory out of her head. Even when showering or falling asleep, she could not. And instead, she had nightmares of Fisk coming into her apartment to kill her, which scared the crap out of her. Yep. Next up, we come to episode 12, where Fisk learns of the death of his best friend Wesley and starts beating up one of his bodyguards for not going with him to keep an eye on to keep an eye on him, who was talked out of it by his pension advisor Leland. So he puts Francis in charge. Yeah, he sure knows how to lose his temper, but also, he was Fisk was happy that his fiancee Vanessa was still alive, and he swore that he would punish whoever tried to kill her. Yeah, that's what you would expect from someone that's trying to to appease the others while being completely autistic and stuff. Oh, boy. Also, yeah, and at the end of this episode 12, Fisk shows up inside Ben Ulrich's apartment, has his conversation with the guy, and then he loses his temper jumps out, gets out of the chair, and starts killing the reporter to not only tie up loose ends, but in retaliation for getting his mother involved. Yeah, really. Yeah, that's what happens when you mess with the kingpin. He ends up killing this guy, and now we come to the season finale episode of Daredevil Netflix, where Murdoch, Page, Nelson, and others attended Ben Ulrich's funeral out outside, and they paid their respects to him. Yeah, they paid their respects to him. Later on, as the episode progressed, Murdoch saves one of the corrupt officers from getting killed by the other police, brings him to the NYPD for interrogation, and finally, he got something big enough to help affect Wilson Fisk's operations, and it gave the FBI a search warrant to going after and arresting those who've been linked who've been in lead with him. Well, kind of daydreamed. It was off right there. Uh, then police, the police also went after a corrupt senator who was also under Fisk's payroll, along with detectives, police, cops, and finally Fisk himself. They brought him over to. Oh, eh, well, they and also Fisk gets himself arrested, but before getting escorted out the door, he gives he proposes to Vanessa. How nice. Then then while Karen Nelson and Matt Murdock were celebrating inside their office, Fisk still had men on the inside of the system, and soon as the gang of mercenaries show up, killing the escort officers, Fisk escaped with the help of another insider, who takes the life of one of his own troops just to get the kingpin out. Yeah. Well, then Daredevil finally arrives. We finally enter Daredevil after Fisk's escape. He uses his sonar abilities to listen into to the the trucks, moving vans driving in the streets of Harlem. There, he was able to intercept the kingpin in the alleyway and takes out one of his men, and then engages Fisk in a straight up fist fight in an alleyway while wearing his new red suit, and defeats him, and has one of the good cops inside the precinct to take him back into custody and as he fled. Fisk was finally behind bars at the end of this episode, while Murdoch as Daredevil continued his continued on as the man without fear, keeping Hell's Kitchen safe. Oh wow! Well, I hope that's good enough of info I can discuss with you guys, because I really kind of got to start keeping up more with this kind of stuff. I'm yet to see season two, but for now I'm gonna take it easy because I've got other things I gotta take care of. that are very dire at the moment. Well, I'll be sure to give as much as I know to the DA once I'm on his panel in a couple of weeks, along with the dualies and side effects and the stuff to talk about the Netflix show while comparing with the Disney Plus series. Anyway, take care, guys. See you soon.